It's a warm Texas night in Austin, and I'm standing in my mom's quiet suburban house, staring at a safe I had installed for her years ago. My name's Emily Harper, I'm 32, and just last month, I sold my AI startup for a jaw-dropping $15 million. $8 million of that, cold, hard cash, was tucked inside that safe, ready to seal the deal on my dream ranch in Texas Hill Country. I trusted my mom, Linda, with everything. She raised me and my brother Ethan through tough times, working late shifts at a greasy diner, always putting us first. So, when I needed a secure spot for the cash overnight, her safe felt like the safest place in the world. I went to bed dreaming of wide open fields and a new chapter. But when I woke up, the house was dead silent. No coffee brewing, no mom humming in the kitchen. My stomach dropped as I ran to the safe. The door was wide open, empty. $8 million, gone. On the kitchen counter, a note in my mom's neat handwriting: "Thanks for the cash, sis. Time for our dream life." My mom and Ethan, my own flesh and blood, had vanished with my fortune. I should have been screaming, right? Collapsing in tears, calling the cops in a panic. But here's the thing, I laughed. A deep, uncontrollable laugh that echoed through that empty house. Why? Oh, you're gonna want to stick around for this. What was inside that safe wasn't what they thought, and the truth is so wild, it'll blow your mind. This isn't just a story about betrayal, it's about outsmarting the people who thought they could break me. By the time you hear how I turn this gut punch into the ultimate comeback, you'll be on the edge of your seat. So, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and subscribe to see how I flipped the script on the worst day of my life. Trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Let me take you back to where it all began, to a dusty trailer park on the outskirts of Lubbock, Texas, where the summer heat baked the asphalt and dreams felt as distant as the stars. My name's Emily Harper, and growing up, life was anything but easy. My mom, Linda, was a single parent, raising me and my younger brother, Ethan, on a shoestring budget. She worked double shifts at a 24-hour diner, coming home with aching feet and the faint smell of fried onions clinging to her faded apron. Our home was a cramped, single-wide trailer with a leaky roof and windows that rattled in the wind. Christmases meant a single gift, usually something practical like socks or a second-hand book. Birthdays? A homemade cake from a box mix, if we were lucky. Vacations? Those were the stuff of TV shows, not our reality. From a young age, I knew education was my way out. While other kids rode bikes or hung out at the mall, I was hunched over library books, scribbling notes by the light of a flickering lamp. My mom used to say, "Emily, you study like the devil's chasing you." And in a way, something was. The fear of being trapped in that trailer park forever, of living paycheck to paycheck like mom did. I wasn't just driven, I was obsessed. By high school, I was pulling all-nighters, acing AP classes, and working weekends at the same diner where mom slung plates. Every tip I earned, every quarter, every crumpled dollar, went into a coffee can under my bed, my ticket to a better life. That hustle paid off when I landed a full scholarship to Stanford University. Leaving Lubbock felt like stepping into a new world, but even at Stanford, I didn't slow down. I juggled a double major in computer science and data analytics, worked 2 part-time jobs, one at the campus bookstore, another coding freelance gigs, and lived on instant ramen and free pizza from student events. Every spare dollar I could scrape together, I sent back home to mom and Ethan. It wasn't much, but it was enough to cover Ethan's school supplies or mom's car repairs when her old Chevy broke down again. Those college years were a blur of late-night study sessions, hackathons, and shifts that left me bone-tired but hungry for more. After graduation, I landed a job at a small tech firm in Silicon Valley, but I wasn't content to climb someone else's ladder. 2 years later, with a maxed-out credit card and a dream bigger than Texas, I founded NeuralSync, an AI startup focused on revolutionizing healthcare diagnostics. The early days were brutal: 18-hour workdays, investor rejections, and the constant dread of failure. But by year 3, we'd signed major hospital networks, and NeuralSync was turning heads. When I sold the company last month for $15 million, it felt like the American dream come true. A kid from a Lubbock trailer park had made it. Through it all, I never forgot where I came from. I bought mom a cozy 3-bedroom house in Austin, paid off her debts, and set up a monthly allowance so she could quit the diner. For Ethan, I covered his rent, his car loans, even his gambling. Debts when he got in over his head. I thought I was lifting them up with me, sharing the success I'd fought so hard for. But looking back, I missed the signs, the way Mom's pride seemed forced, the way Ethan's gratitude always came with a hint of resentment. I thought family meant loyalty, that my sacrifices for them would mean something. Oh, how wrong I was. Stick around, because what happened next will make your jaw drop. Now, let's talk about my family, because to understand how I ended up standing in front of that empty safe, you need to know the undercurrents that were simmering beneath the surface for years. I'm Emily Harper, and growing up in that Lubbock trailer park, I thought family was everything. My mom, Linda, was my rock, working those grueling diner shifts to keep a roof over our heads. My younger brother, Ethan, 5 years my junior, was the charming troublemaker, always flashing a grin that could melt anyone's heart. We were a team, or so I thought, bound by shared struggles and the promise of better days. But as I clawed my way to success, cracks started forming in that picture-perfect family portrait, and I was too busy building my empire to notice. On the surface, Mom seemed proud of me. When I got into Stanford, she'd brag to her friends at the diner, saying, "My Emily's gonna change the world." But there were moments, fleeting, subtle moments, when I'd catch a shadow in her eyes. Like when I told her about selling Neuralink for $15 million, her smile was tight, and she said, "Well, I guess all those years of scraping by paid off for you, didn't they?" It stung, but I brushed it off. I mean, she was my mom, she loved me, right? I poured my success back into her life to prove it. I bought her a charming 3-bedroom house in Austin, complete with a wraparound porch she'd always dreamed of. I paid off her credit card debt, her medical bills, and set up a monthly allowance so she could trade her waitress apron for a life of comfort. But every thank you came with a barb, like, "Must be nice to throw money around like that." I told myself she was just tired, maybe a little jealous of the life I'd built, but never bitter. How could she be? Then there was Ethan, my little brother with the easy laugh and endless excuses. While I was grinding through Stanford and startup life, Ethan drifted. He dropped out of community college after one semester, bounced between bartending gigs, and always had a sob story: car broke down, lost a bet, got evicted. I bailed him out every time, wiring thousands to cover his messes. I'd suggest job training or a steady career path, but he'd snap, "Not everyone's a genius like you, Em." Mom always took his side, saying, "He's just finding his way, honey. You were always the driven one." It hurt, but I swallowed it. Family sticks together, I thought. I even paid off his 20 grand gambling debt last year, hoping it'd be a fresh start. He thanked me with a quick hug and a promise to make it up, but I never saw a dime. Looking back, there were red flags I ignored. Last 4th of July, we had a barbecue at Mom's Austin house, burgers on the grill, sweet tea in mason jars, fireflies lighting up the backyard. Ethan kept stepping away to take hushed phone calls, his face tense. When I asked who it was, Mom jumped in, "Oh, just a new girlfriend, nothing serious." Her voice was too quick, her smile too forced. Later, she asked odd questions about my startup deal, how much cash I'd get, where I kept it. I laughed it off, thinking she was just curious about her daughter's big win. But their glances, the way they clinked their glasses a little too eagerly when I mentioned the $8 million for the ranch, they weren't celebrating my success. They were plotting. I should have seen it, but love makes you blind. I thought family meant loyalty, that the sacrifices we'd shared in that dusty trailer park bound us forever. I was wrong, and the truth was about to hit me like a freight train. Keep watching, because what they did with that $8 million is only half the story, and the real twist will leave you speechless. Let me set the scene for the decision that changed everything. I'm Emily Harper, and after years of grinding from a Lubbock trailer park to a Silicon Valley boardroom, I was standing on the edge of my dream. I'd sold my AI startup, Neuralink, for $15 million, and I had my sights set on a 1,200-acre ranch in Texas Hill Country, a sprawling paradise with rolling hills, a spring-fed creek, and a stone mansion that screamed forever home. The price tag? A cool $12 million. To seal the deal against a dozen eager buyers, I decided to offer $8 million in cash. Not a wire transfer, not a check, cold, hard cash. It was a bold move, the kind that makes real estate agents' jaws drop and sellers' eyes light up. But bold moves were how I got here, and I wasn't about to play it safe now. I walked into Lone Star Bank in downtown Austin on a crisp Monday morning, my heart pounding with excitement. The private banking manager, Mr. Reynolds, a wiry guy with a handlebar mustache and a nervous twitch, nearly choked on his coffee when I laid out my plan. "Miss Harper," he said, his pen tapping a frantic rhythm on his oak desk, $8 million in cash? That's $16,500 bills, weighing close to 180 pounds. It'll fill 4 heavy-duty duffels. A wire transfer is safer, standard for deals like this. I smiled, unshaken. "I hear you, Mr. Reynolds, but this ranch has multiple bidders. Cash talks louder than digital numbers. The seller wants certainty, and I'm giving it to them." He leaned forward, his voice low, like he was sharing a state secret. "You're talking about carrying a fortune through the streets of Austin. Robbery, loss, damage, the risks are astronomical. I've done my homework. I've hired Lone Star Security, top-tier professionals. They'll escort me from here to a secure location. It's 24 hours, max, before the closing." After an hour of back and forth and signing a stack of liability waivers thicker than a phone book, Mr. Reynolds caved, muttering about ordering currency from the Federal Reserve. That evening, I broke the news to my fiancé, Noah, over tacos. At our favorite Austin food truck, the smell of smoked brisket filling the air. He set his beer down hard, his hazel eyes wide with disbelief. "Emily, this is insane. Why cash? Why not a bank transfer?" I explained the competitive bidding, the seller's preference for cash to avoid financing hiccups. "I've got it covered, Noah. 2 armed guards, ex-Marines, will handle transport. The money's going into Mom's safe overnight, you know. The biometric one I installed for her jewelry collection. It's like Fort Knox." Noah ran a hand through his sandy hair, a sure sign he was frustrated. "Why your mom's safe? Why not a bank vault?" I laughed, squeezing his hand across the picnic table. "Bank vaults have size limits, and Mom's house is 5 miles away. It's one night, Noah. By tomorrow, we'll be sipping coffee on our ranch porch." He shook his head, unconvinced. "You're too trusting, Em. What if something goes wrong? What if someone follows you?" I brushed off his worry, my confidence bordering on stubbornness. "I've got this. Trust me." 2 days later, I stood in a sterile bank vault, watching tellers count out $8 million in crisp $500 bills. The stacks were packed into 4 black duffels, each sealed with tamper-proof locks. My security team, Jake, a grizzled former Marine, and Carlos, a sharp-eyed ex-cop, flanked me like Secret Service agents. We took a winding route to Mom's Austin home, checking mirrors for tails, my pulse racing not from fear but from the thrill of being so close to my dream. As we pulled into Mom's driveway, I felt untouchable. The safe, hidden behind a custom oak panel in her study, was ready to hold my future. Little did I know, that decision, my unshakable trust in family, was about to unravel everything. Keep watching, because what happened next will make your heart race. The morning it all fell apart is burned into my memory like a bad dream I can't shake. I'm Emily Harper, and I'd gone to sleep in my mom's Austin home, dreaming of my Texas Hill Country Ranch, with $8 million tucked safely in her biometric safe. I woke to sunlight streaming through the faded curtains of my old bedroom, the twin bed creaking under my weight. For a fleeting moment, I was 16 again, ready to face another day in Lubbock. Then reality hit. I was 32, on the cusp of my dream, with a fortune waiting in Mom's study. But the house was too quiet. No clatter of pans, no hum of Mom's morning coffee maker, no trace of my brother Ethan's usual chatter. My stomach twisted as I called out, "Mom? Ethan?" Silence answered me. I padded down the hallway in my pajamas, my bare feet cold on the hardwood floor. I knocked on Mom's door, no response. Her bed was neatly made, untouched, like she'd never slept there. Weird, but maybe she'd left early for a neighborhood book club she'd mentioned. I tried Ethan's room, empty, his duffel bag gone. A chill crept up my spine as I hurried to the study. The oak panel hiding the safe was slightly ajar. My heart pounded like a drum as I slid it open. The safe door gaped wide, its steel interior glaringly empty. No duffel bags, number $8 million, just a void where my future should have been. "No," I whispered, my voice rising to a scream. "No, no, and oh." I tore through the house, flinging open closets, checking under beds, as if 180 pounds of cash could be hiding somewhere. In the kitchen, propped against Mom's old coffee maker, was a note in her precise handwriting: "Thanks for the cash, sis. Time for our dream life. Don't bother looking for us. Love, Mom and Ethan." My legs buckled, and I sank to the linoleum floor, the note crumpled in my trembling fist. My own mother and brother had stolen my money and vanished. I fumbled for my phone, hands shaking so badly I could barely dial Noah, my fiancé. "They're gone," I sobbed, words spilling out in a frantic rush. "Mom and Ethan, they took the 8 million, Noah. It's all gone." 20 minutes later, he burst through the door, still in his UT Austin hoodie, his face pale with shock. He knelt beside me, pulling me into his arms. "We're calling the police, Em. Right now." The next hours blurred. 2 patrol officers arrived, followed by Detective Rachel Coleman, a no-nonsense woman with a sharp gaze and a notepad she filled with my story. "You placed 8 million in your mother's safe voluntarily?" she asked, her tone neutral but piercing. I nodded, shame burning my cheeks. "And you have proof of the withdrawal?" I showed her the bank receipts on my phone, my hand still trembling. "This is tricky," she admitted. "It could be argued as a family dispute, not outright theft." A family dispute? They knew I was buying that ranch. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was a video: Ethan, grinning on a yacht, sunglasses perched on his nose, a tropical sunset behind him. "Hey, sis," he said, his voice dripping with smugness. "This yacht's a step up from your startup, huh? Thanks for the upgrade." Mom appeared beside him, sipping champagne, her smile cold. The caption read, "Living the dream, thanks to you." My blood ran cold. They weren't just gone, they were taunting me, flaunting my money while I sat in ruins. I called their numbers. Mom's went to voicemail, Ethan's disconnected after one ring. They'd blocked me. My family, the people I'd loved most, had betrayed me in the cruelest way possible. But why was I laughing later? Stick around, because the truth is wilder than you can imagine. The days after my mom and brother vanished with my $8 million felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. I'm Emily Harper, and my world was crumbling in that quiet Austin kitchen, clutching that cruel note from Mom and Ethan: "Thanks for the cash, sis. Time for our dream life." My heart was a tangle of rage and heartbreak, but I wasn't about to let them disappear into the sunset with my future. I needed answers, and Detective Rachel Coleman, with her sharp eyes and no-nonsense ponytail, became my lifeline. Sitting across from me at my mom's kitchen table, 3 days after the theft, she laid out the first clues, and what she uncovered shook me to my core. Rachel started with Mom's laptop, found tucked under her bed like a guilty secret. The search history was a roadmap of betrayal, queries like, countries with no extradition to the US, offshore bank accounts, and how to disappear with cash, dating back 6 months, right around when I'd announced my Neuralink sale. 6 months. My mom, Linda, who'd once scolded me for keeping a nickel too much change from a gas station, had been plotting this heist while I was wiring her money for groceries. Then Rachel showed me Ethan's burner phone records, pulled from a cloud backup he thought he'd deleted. Calls to a known money launderer in Miami, late-night texts about moving the haul. My little brother, the charmer who'd hugged me after I paid off his gambling debts, was neck-deep in this scheme. The real gut punch came when Rachel found a locked diary in a crawlspace above Mom's garage, hidden behind dusty Christmas decorations. Inside were pages of notes in Mom's neat cursive, detailing my routines, my bank visits, even the security code for the biometric safe I'd installed. One page was titled Emily's Blind Spots, with "Trusts family above all" underlined in red ink. I felt like I'd been slapped. They'd studied me like a mark, exploiting the love I thought bound us. Rachel's voice softened as she slid surveillance photos across the table. "We've tracked them to the Bahamas, Emily. They chartered a private jet from Austin Bergstrom Airport at 4 a.m. the morning they left, paid in cash, your cash. From there, we think they hopped a flight to Dubai. They're using fake IDs, calling themselves Carol and Nathan Pierce." I stared at the grainy images, Mom with a sleek blonde bob, Ethan sporting a goatee, both dripping in designer clothes I didn't recognize. They looked like strangers, not the family I'd shared a trailer park with. "How did they pull this off?" I asked, my voice hollow. Rachel sighed. "They had help. We found encrypted emails on Mom's laptop, linking her to a fixer who specializes in vanishing acts. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment grab, Emily. They planned this for months, maybe a year. A year. The word echoed in my head. Every barbecue, every phone call, every "I love you" had been a lie. I thought of Mom's questions at that 4th of July cookout, Ethan's sneaky texts. They weren't just resentful, they were calculating. Rachel leaned forward, her eyes steady. "We're working with Interpol, but they're slippery. They've got new identities, and that money makes them ghosts." I nodded, numb, as another thought hit me. The ranch deal was slipping away, and my reputation in Austin's tech scene was taking a hit with every whispered rumor about my reckless decision. But something else was brewing, something I didn't even know yet. Why did I laugh when I found that empty safe? You're not gonna believe what's coming. Keep watching, because the truth is about to turn this story upside down. The weeks following the theft of my $8 million were like living in a fog so thick I could barely see myself anymore. I'm Emily Harper, and the life I'd built from a Lubbock trailer park to a tech empire in Austin, Texas, was unraveling faster than I could grasp. My mom, Linda, and my brother, Ethan, hadn't just stolen my money, they'd ripped away my sense of family, trust, and purpose. I was a ghost in my own story, haunting the corners of my downtown Austin apartment, staring at the walls where dreams of a hill country ranch used to hang. Every morning, I woke to the same gnawing emptiness. Replaying that moment I found the safe empty, their mocking note burning in my mind. "Thanks for the cash, sis. Time for our dream life." The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was personal, a knife twisted in my heart by the people I'd loved most. The practical fallout hit hard and fast. The ranch deal collapsed when I couldn't produce the $8 million. For closing, the sellers, sympathetic but firm, moved on to another buyer, and my vision of sipping coffee on a stone porch overlooking Texas hills vanished. In Austin's tight-knit tech scene, whispers spread like wildfire. Emily Harper? Lost $8 million to her own family. Bad judgment. Speaking gigs I'd booked at South by Southwest and TechCrunch were quietly cancelled. Venture capitalists who'd once begged for coffee meetings now ghosted my emails. My reputation, built over years of 18-hour days and sleepless nights, was crumbling under the weight of their betrayal. I turned down a lucrative consulting offer from a healthcare startup, unable to focus through the fog of grief. My inbox filled with polite rejections, each one a reminder that the tech world didn't trust someone who'd let $8 million slip through her fingers. At home, things were no better. My fiancé, Noah, tried to be my rock, but I was drowning in obsession. I spent hours on the phone with Detective Rachel Coleman, poring over dead-end leads, or scrolling through banking laws, desperate for any clue about Mom and Ethan. Our once warm evenings, cooking Tex-Mex together, laughing over old movies, turned into tense silences. One night, after I'd spent 6 hours chasing a rumored sighting of Mom in Dubai, Noah snapped. You're letting this consume you," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "You don't sleep, you barely eat, and I'm losing you to this black hole." I wanted to argue, to scream that they'd stolen my future, but the words stuck in my throat. He was right, I wasn't the Emily he'd fallen in love with. A week later, he packed a bag and moved to a friend's place, his parting words cutting deep. "Call me when you're ready to live again, not just chase ghosts." His absence left my apartment feeling like a tomb. I started seeing Dr. Karen Wells, a therapist in Austin who specialized in betrayal trauma. In her cozy office, surrounded by succulents and soft jazz, I poured out my pain. "How could they do this?" I asked, my voice breaking. "I gave them everything, money, a house, my trust." Dr. Wells leaned forward, her eyes kind but piercing. "Betrayal like this shatters your reality, Emily. It makes you question every memory, every 'I love you.' But their actions aren't about your worth, they're about their brokenness." Her words helped, but only a little. Nightmares plagued me, chasing Mom and Ethan through endless airports, always one step behind, waking in a cold sweat to an empty bed. I was at rock bottom, a shadow of the woman who'd built Neuralink. My life, my love, my legacy, all gone. But why did I laugh that morning? Stick with me, because the answer will flip everything you think you know. It was 2:37 a.m., and I was sprawled on my couch in my Austin apartment, staring at the ceiling, lost in the wreckage of my life. I'm Emily Harper, and for 6 weeks, I'd been drowning in the aftermath of my mom and brother stealing $8 million from me. My phone buzzed, slicing through the silence like a siren. The screen lit up with Jake's name, one of the ex-Marines from Lone Star Security who'd escorted me and those duffel bags to Mom's house. My heart skipped. A call at this hour couldn't be good. "Jake, what's wrong?" I croaked, my voice rough from sleepless nights. His tone was urgent, clipped. "Miss Harper, I need to see you. Now. It's about the money. This can't be done over the phone." My mind raced. Had they found Mom and Ethan? Was there a break in the case? "Okay," I said, sitting up, adrenaline kicking in. "I'm here." 19 minutes later, Jake stood in my doorway, still in his security polo, his face grim under the dim hallway light. He didn't waste time. "Emily, the money your mom and brother took? It wasn't real." The words hit like a thunderbolt, and for a moment, I thought I'd misheard. "What?" I sank onto the couch, my head spinning. Jake's eyes locked on mine. "The cash in those duffels was counterfeit, high-tech fakes, good enough to fool anyone without a scanner. The real 8 million never left our vault." I stared, mouth dry, trying to process. "That's impossible, Jake. I withdrew it from Lone Star Bank." "You were there?" He nodded, unflinching. "Yes, but what you don't remember is the contingency plan you signed off on. 3 days before the withdrawal, you called my boss, Mike. You said you had a bad feeling about your mom's questions, her odd vibe at that barbecue. You asked us to swap the cash for counterfeits with GPS trackers and chemical sensors, just in case." He pulled a folded document from his pocket, my signature staring back at me in black ink. A memory flickered, Mike pulling me aside at the bank, a quick chat about extra precautions amid the chaos of signing waivers. I'd nodded, distracted, signing without reading. I don't remember this," I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. Jake's expression softened. "It was a hectic day, Emily. Mike wanted to tell you sooner, but our tracking system glitched. We only confirmed the swap yesterday during a diagnostic. The trackers showed the bags leaving your mom's house at 4:12 a.m., heading to Austin Bergstrom Airport, then the Bahamas. The sensors detected the fake bill's chemical signature hours later." My mind reeled. Mom and Ethan, jetting off on a yacht, sipping champagne, thinking they'd won, when they'd stolen nothing but worthless paper. A laugh bubbled up, raw and unstoppable, echoing off my apartment walls. It wasn't just relief, it was cosmic justice, sharp and sweet. "They've got nothing," I said, laughter mixing with tears. "They're parading around with fake money." Jake pulled out a tablet, a blinking dot on a map. "They're in Las Vegas now, living large. Casinos, penthouses, the works." I wiped my eyes, a spark igniting inside me. "I need to see it, Jake. The real money." 2 hours later, I stood in Lone Star Security's underground vault, staring at 4 duffel bags packed with crisp $500 bills, my 8 million, untouched. "The trackers are still active," Jake said, pointing to the tablet. "We can follow every move they make." For the first time in weeks, I felt alive, not broken. A plan was forming, and it was going to be epic. Want to know what I did next? Keep watching, because this story's about to get wild. The moment I saw those 4 duffel bags of real money in that Austin vault, something shifted inside me. I'm Emily Harper, and for 6 weeks, I'd been a shadow, broken by my mom and brother's betrayal, thinking they'd stolen my $8 million and my future. But now, knowing they were gallivanting with worthless counterfeit bills, I wasn't just a victim anymore, I was a hunter. The trackers in those fake stacks were pinging their every move, and they were lighting up Las Vegas like a neon sign. My mom, Linda, and my brother, Ethan, thought they'd outsmarted me, but they were about to learn they'd messed with the wrong woman. It was time to take control, and I wasn't doing it alone. I assembled a tight crew back in Austin, fueled by coffee and determination. Jake, the ex-Marine from Lone Star Security, brought his tracking expertise, showing me a tablet with a blinking dot moving through Vegas's strip. Detective Rachel Coleman, skeptical at first, was all in once she saw the evidence of the counterfeit swap. My best friend Mia, Neuralsync's former CFO, crunched numbers like a bloodhound sniffing out a trail. Greg, my lawyer, navigated the legal maze, ready to coordinate with authorities. We set up shop in a conference room at Jake's security firm, walls covered with maps, bank records, and grainy surveillance stills. The trackers painted a vivid picture. Mom and Ethan were living like high rollers, blowing stacks of fake cash at Bellagio penthouses, Gucci boutiques, and VIP tables at Caesar's Palace. Mia ran the numbers: Rolexes, private cabanas, $5,000 bottles of Dom Perignon. At this rate, she said, tapping her laptop, they'll burn through what they think is $8 million in under a year. Then there were their social media taunts, posted under their fake identities: Carol and Nathan Pierce. Rachel pulled up Instagram accounts, cropped photos of diamond-encrusted watches, lobster dinners, and Vegas skyline views from a rooftop bar. I recognized Mom's manicured nails in one shot, Ethan's cocky smirk in another, half hidden behind sunglasses. They weren't just spending, they were rubbing it in my face, thinking I was back in Austin, watching their posts and crumbling. They want me to see this, I said, my voice steady for the first time in weeks. They think I'm broken. Jake grinned, pointing at the tablet. That's their mistake. They're predictable. Based on their spending and posts, they're hitting a high-roller poker tournament at the Bellagio tomorrow night. Big buy-in, exclusive crowd, perfect place to flaunt their wealth. My eyes narrowed, a plan snapping into focus. Then that's where we'll catch them. We worked around the clock, adrenaline replacing sleep. Greg reached out to FBI contacts in Nevada, briefing them on the counterfeit operation. Rachel coordinated with Vegas PD, ensuring we had backup. Mia hacked together a timeline of their movements: casinos, clubs, even a private helicopter tour over the Grand Canyon. They're not hiding, she said, shaking her head. They're peacocking. I felt a fire ignite in my chest, not rage but resolve. This wasn't about revenge, it was about reclaiming my power. We booked flights to Vegas, every detail locked in like a military op. As our plane taxied out of Austin, I stared at the tracker's blinking dot, now centered on the Bellagio. Mom and Ethan thought they were untouchable, living their stolen dream. They had no idea I was coming for them. Want to know what happened when I walked into that casino? Keep watching, this showdown will blow your mind. The neon lights of Las Vegas glittered like a fever dream as I stepped into the Bellagio's poker room, my heart steady but my blood on fire. I'm Emily Harper, and after 6 weeks of chasing my mom, Linda, and my brother, Ethan, who'd stolen what they thought was $8 million from me, I was here to end it. They'd been living large on counterfeit bills, oblivious to the GPS trackers pinging their every move. Tonight, at a high-roller poker tournament, they'd face the truth. I'd flown in from Austin with my team, Jake from Lone Star Security, Detective Rachel Coleman, my friend Mia, and lawyer Greg, our plan locked in like a heist movie. The FBI and Vegas PD were on standby, waiting for my signal. As I adjusted my sleek red dress, the weight of betrayal lifted, replaced by a cold, sharp focus. This wasn't revenge, it was justice. The poker room buzzed with clinking chips and low murmurs, the air thick with cigar smoke and ambition. I spotted them instantly at a private table in the back. Mom, now Carol Pierce, in a shimmering gold gown, her blonde bob gleaming under the chandeliers. Ethan, alias Nathan, in a tailored suit, flashing his signature smirk as he tossed a stack of fake $500 bills into the pot. A crystal decanter of whiskey sat between them, their laughter loud, carefree, as if they'd already won. They didn't see me until I was right beside their table, my shadow falling across their chips. Room for one more? I asked, my voice calm but cutting through the noise like a blade. Their faces froze, shock morphing into fear. Emily? Mom's voice was a whisper, her champagne flute trembling. Ethan's smirk vanished, his eyes darting like a cornered animal. I slid into a chair, ignoring the stares from other players, and signaled the dealer to pause. Nice setup, I said, eyeing their pile of chips. Enjoying my money? Ethan recovered first, his tone defiant. What do you want, Em? Come? To beg for scraps? I smiled, slow and deliberate, pulling a stack of their cash from Mom's Hermes bag on the table. I'm just curious if it's been worth it, destroying our family, running like fugitives, all for this. I held up a bill, tilting it to catch the light. You know what's special about $500 bills? They're so rare, they're perfect for counterfeiting, if you're clever. Mom's face drained of color. What are you talking about? She stammered. I leaned in, my voice low and steady. The money you stole? It's fake. Every single bill, worthless paper. Ethan scoffed, snatching the stack from me. You're bluffing. We've been spending it for weeks. I nodded. Small amounts? Sure. Tourist traps, distracted clerks. But try depositing it in a bank. Try buying a penthouse. It won't work. I paused, letting the truth sink in. The real $8 million never left the vault in Austin. I knew something was off, so I protected myself. Their eyes widened, horror dawning as Ethan rifled through the bills, searching for flaws. Mom's voice shook. You can't prove we took it. I gestured subtly toward the entrance, where Rachel stood with two FBI agents in dark suits. The trackers in those bills say otherwise. They followed you from Austin to the Bahamas, Dubai, and now here. The room seemed to hold its breath as the agents approached, badges glinting. Carol and Nathan Pierce, you're under arrest for theft, fraud, and possession of counterfeit currency, one said, voice firm but quiet. Ethan cursed under his breath, Mom's hands trembling as cuffs clicked shut. The other players gaped. Chips forgotten. I stood, my gaze locked on them. You didn't just steal from me, you broke us. But you broke yourselves worse. As they were led away, I felt not triumph, but closure. Want to know what happened next? Keep watching, this story's not over yet. The Bellagio's neon glow faded behind me, but the weight of that confrontation lingered like a storm cloud. I'm Emily Harper, and standing in that Las Vegas poker room, watching my mom, Linda, and my brother, Ethan, led away in cuffs for stealing what they thought was my $8 million, I felt a strange calm, not triumph, but closure. They'd taken fake money, thanks to a contingency plan I'd unknowingly set, but the real theft was the trust I'd given them. Back in Austin, the legal and emotional fallout unfolded, forcing me to face the truth about the family I thought I knew. In a sterile interview room at a Nevada detention center, I sat across from Mom, her gold gown replaced by an orange jumpsuit, her blonde bob limp, her eyes avoiding mine. Ethan, in a separate room, awaited his turn. This was my last chance to ask, why? Detective Rachel Coleman had warned me the case was airtight but complex. The FBI, working with Vegas PD, had seized nearly $6 million in counterfeit bills from Mom and Ethan's Bellagio suite, proof of their spending spree across the Bahamas, Dubai, and Vegas. Greg, my lawyer, laid out the charges: theft, fraud, and possession of counterfeit currency. It's open and shut, he said in his Austin office, his voice steady. Your bank records, the trackers, their fake IDs, they're done. But the legal fight crossed borders, tangled in international law. Mom faced up to 7 years, Ethan potentially 5, with parole possible after 2. Deciding whether to press charges was agonizing. Greg and Rachel urged me to move forward, warning they could target others if left unchecked. In the end, I agreed but chose not to submit a victim impact statement that could have pushed for harsher sentences. They've lost enough, I told Greg, signing the paperwork. Their freedom, our family, their dignity, that's punishment. Enough. Facing Mom in that interview room, I needed answers more than justice. Why, Mom? I asked, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. I gave you a house, money, everything you needed. Why steal from me? She stared at the table, her hands twisting. Finally, she spoke, her voice raw. You had it all, Emily, Stanford, millions, the spotlight. I was proud, but it hurt. Watching you soar while I was stuck, just your charity case. That money was our chance to feel big for once. Her words cut deep, a mix of resentment and shame I hadn't seen coming. I never saw you as less, I said, fighting tears. I wanted to share my life with you, not control it. She shook her head. Your success was a mirror, showing us what we weren't. We couldn't ask, you'd always hold the strings. In another room, Ethan was more defiant, his smirk faded but his pride intact. You made it look so easy, Em, he told Rachel, his voice clipped. I was tired of being the screw-up brother. That cash was my shot to be somebody. Rachel later shared his confession. Mom had hatched the plan after my Neuralink sale hit the news, recruiting Ethan with promises of a glamorous life. They'd studied my habits, practiced opening the safe, even paid a fixer for fake IDs. Every detail was a fresh wound, proof they'd seen my love as a weakness. But as I left the detention center, the Vegas skyline fading in my rearview, I felt lighter. Their betrayal wasn't about my worth, it was about their emptiness. I'd faced the truth, and it set me free. What came next was about rebuilding. Not just surviving. Want to know how I picked up the pieces? Keep watching, this story's final chapter will leave you inspired. After the dust settled in that Las Vegas detention center, I returned to Austin, Texas, carrying not just my $8 million but a new perspective on who I was and what mattered. I'm Emily Harper, and the betrayal by my mom, Linda, and my brother, Ethan, had shattered my world, stealing what they thought was my fortune, only to be caught with worthless counterfeit bills. That confrontation at the Bellagio wasn't the end, it was the beginning of rebuilding a life stronger than before. I'd lost my family, but I found something greater, my own resilience. Standing on the porch of my new home, a cozy cedar cabin nestled in the rolling hills of Texas Hill Country, I realized the journey wasn't about the money. It was about reclaiming myself. The cabin wasn't the sprawling ranch I'd originally dreamed of, but it was perfect. With its wraparound porch, wildflower garden, and view of the sunset painting the hills in shades of amber and pink, it felt like a sanctuary. I closed on it 3 months after Vegas, using the real $8 million that had stayed safe in Lone Star Securities vault. Every morning, I sipped coffee on that porch swing, breathing in the quiet, feeling the weight of those dark weeks lift. My fiancé, Noah, came back after the showdown, his pride in my strength rekindling what we'd nearly lost. We started slow, Friday night tacos at our favorite Austin food truck, long hikes through Zilker Park, and weekly sessions with a couples therapist who helped us navigate the scars of betrayal. You didn't just survive, Noah said. One evening, his arm around me as we watched fireflies dance. You turned pain into power. He was right, but it wasn't easy. I threw myself back into work, launching a new AI consulting firm that let me flex my tech skills without the grind of running a startup. The Austin tech scene, once skeptical, welcomed me back as word of my comeback spread. I reconnected with friends I'd pushed away during those obsessive months, late-night barbecues, laughter over margaritas, sharing my story with a vulnerability I'd never dared before. Opening up didn't make me weak, it made me whole. The nightmares of chasing Mom and Ethan through endless airports faded, replaced by dreams of new beginnings. I learned to trust again, not blindly, but wisely, leaning on those who'd stood by me, Noah, Mia, Jake, and Greg. The biggest lesson came from Dr. Karen Wells, my therapist, who said something that stuck: betrayal reveals the betrayer's flaws, not yours. Trust your instincts, set boundaries, and never let someone else's choices dim your worth. I'd given Mom and Ethan everything, but their greed wasn't my failure, it was theirs. If they'd asked, I'd have helped, not with $8 million, but enough to build a better life. Instead, they chose to steal, and lost more than money, they lost me. That realization set me free to live, not just survive. I'm sharing this story because I know many of you have felt betrayal's sting, maybe not $8 million worth, but just as painful. Your worth isn't defined by those who hurt you, it's defined by how you rise. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever turned a betrayal into strength? Hit that like button, subscribe, and join our community of survivors. Trust yourself first, set boundaries, and keep building your story. The greatest plot twists can lead to the most beautiful chapters. Stick around, my next story might just inspire you to write your own.